Okay, let's talk about hanging your portraits. First thing I want to talk about is the size of your prints. So if you ordered an 8 by 10 print, for instance, you want to buy a frame that's called an 8 by 10 frame, and that means that the inner dimensions of the frame are 8 inches by 10 inches. That doesn't have anything to do with the outside of the frame. That could be a lot bigger or a little bit bigger. But if you buy an 8 by 10 frame for an 8 by 10 print, it's going to fit right in there really nicely. But with paper prints, you actually have another option. You could mat your prints. And I have an example here. This is an 11 by 14 inch print. The outside dimensions of this are 16 by 20. So what that means is you can put it into a 16 by 20 frame, so you can see that if you have a bigger space on your wall and you want to buy a smaller print but you really have to fill a bigger space, then you may want to try this option, and it's the option that you can do with a paper print. Next, I want to talk about the difference between hanging a paper print and a canvas print. So with a paper print, you're always going to need a frame with glass protecting the print. Here's a little one. This is a 5 by 7 size, and I bought this at a box store, and it had everything it needed. It had the glass, it had a backing. The backing has a little hanger on it, or it can even stand on the table like this, which is kind of cute. If you're going to get a paper print, it's pretty convenient to get one that has everything you need, because otherwise you're buying glass separately and you've got to make sure it's secured really well. You can even buy one that has a mat with it. So in that case, you'd want the mat, the inner mat, to be the size of the print that you bought. Now I want to talk about canvas prints. Canvas prints, here's one. And first I want to mention how much this looks like an original painting. And I brought one here. This is an original painting. And you can see what it looks like in the back, and here's the print. Looks very similar, which is kind of like an upscale version of a print, really. So with a canvas print and with an original painting, you don't use glass. It doesn't need that protection, and so you can buy frames like this. This is an 8 by 10. It didn't come with glass, but I could put an 8 by 10 canvas print in there. Here is the canvas print inside. It's a 16 by 20 print, 16 by 20 frame, and it looks very much like an original. But anyway, the main difference is, the thing I wanted to point out is paper prints need glass and canvas prints do not. Okay, let's talk hardware. I'm first going to talk about how you would put together a paper print into a frame. So I have an 8 by 10 frame here, and then I'm going to put a piece of glass in. You're going to want to clean that glass. Then I'm going to put my paper print in there, like that. Then you're going to need a piece of cardboard behind the print to protect it and hold it in. Now, you can see here that there are these little toggles that swing over the cardboard and hold everything in. These toggles work well for this size print, but as you can imagine, as these prints get bigger, let's say you've got a 16 by 20 print, that piece of glass is pretty big, and you may need to get stronger toggles if you're putting together that size of a print. Now, the last thing you're going to need is something to hang your painting with, or your print with. So one option is hanging wire, which you can install by screwing in these little eye hooks on either side. There's another option that you can buy. They make these little things. Sometimes they screw in, sometimes they nail in, and you would put them right here, and then one on each side, and then you'd hang this hanging wire on it. There's another option, and that is a sawtooth. And you can put the sawtooth onto the frame. This one actually gets stuck into it. It's not the example I wanted to show you, but they come with ones that have holes for screws, and you screw it in, and then you can hang your painting, your print this way. Okay, now we're going to talk about how to hang a canvas print. So everything that I said about the hanging it, the hanging wire and all that, that still applies to canvas prints framed or paper prints framed. What I want to talk about is how to secure the canvas into the frame. Now, a lot of times, almost all the time, the frame is not as wide as the canvas print. So the canvas print hangs out more than the frame. So you're going to have to find a way to attach it that takes that into account. And this is the answer that I like best. These are little, I don't know, squiggly little things that have a hole in one side. So you put the hole down onto the frame, and then the other side rests against that canvas print. Now the thing is, they come in different sizes. This height comes in different sizes. Here's one that's not quite as tall. So if you're going to buy these, you have to know what is the height that I need to span when I hook this in. Otherwise, if it's too big, it'll be wobbly. If it's too small, it won't reach all the way down to your frame. Hoping that makes sense. So you'd be screwing these in all the way around, and this will secure your canvas print very well. There's another option that I sometimes use, but I don't like as much. These little clips, they look so convenient. What you do is you put this into the frame. You've got these little teeth sort of on one side. You put that in there, and then you pull it over the canvas print, and it secures it. It's just so fast. You don't need a screwdriver or anything. But they don't always work, I don't think. Sometimes the canvas print or even the painting is too close to the size of the frame, and the teeth don't fit in properly, or sometimes it's too loose. And I find more than ever, if I use these, sometime or other it's going to fall out. Not every painting, not every print, but I think it's much safer to use the other method. And then you'll end up with a very secure canvas print that you can hang on your wall safely. Now, the last thing I want to talk about a little bit, just briefly, is what kind of frame. There's so many different kinds of frames. Some are modern looking, like narrow, and what I think looks best for these prints is big, ornate frames. It kind of goes with the character of old world portraits. You know, when people had their portraits painted way back, they felt like they were really important. Really kind of only important or wealthy people did have their paintings done, and they hung on the walls, and they embellished them with very ornate frames. Well, I think these critters deserve just that kind of honoring as well, and I think they look best in this. But you also have to take into consideration your house and your decor, and that may not work, and you know, you can do whatever you want with your prints, but if you want my take on it, I think the ornate frames work the best. Well, I hope you really enjoy your prints, and you don't have any trouble hanging them.